The younger generation, the kids, they they need to be modeled and shown this human, as you say, this human spirit, right? That they need to be shown that's what that is. And if we're just on the screens and we're modeling to our kids, this disconnection, like that is so pervasive, n- n- they are not being modeled how to connect.
Hi, Katrina.
Hello,
Welcome,
John.
welcome to my podcast. And what I'd love to do is just throw to you and start with introduce yourself. Like, where have you come from? What do you do? Why are you here?
Well, John, thank you. I am from the States. I live currently in California, and I have been nomadic for quite a long time, on and off for 5 years. So that was really interesting to experience that. Did a lot of traveling abroad. Um, and now, today in the now, and I've been like continually supporting my clients during that whole process, right? Like, so it's this, like, as I'm expanding and exploring, they're expanding and exploring, and my coaching and work as a shaman, mystic, whatever label you want to put on me, it's all about connecting. So I'm really here to help people connect with what it is that they really are aching for in their personal life, whether or professional life as well too. So I'm happy to be here.
Fantastic. Now, you've mentioned to me in your the little form that you filled out before joining here, that you when you were 12, that you committed yourself to doing this kind of work, right? So tell us a little bit about that journey.
It was a real, John, I was pretty much in the peak of depression when I was 12. And I really had moments where it really started, basically with the death of my sister when I was 3. And then I had some sexual trauma when I was 5. I didn't remember that, but that, like, I just had this like declining, like really like downward spiral. And by the time I got to 12, I was like, this sucks. Like, I want to check out. Like, is this even worth living? And like, I asked that question. Like, I remember being on the swinging underneath this beautiful tree on my 5 acres that I grew up on. And just really, like, that night I went to bed and just sobbed and just asked, am I going to be okay? Like,
Mm,
am I going to have a good life? Is this going to be worth it? And I felt this presence and this warmth and this like instant knowing that yes, you are going to have a beautiful life. And in that moment, I made this commitment to, like, okay, well, there's work to do. If this is going to be beautiful, I'm not in that to what I desire it to be. So it's going to take, and if I figure it out, and I made a commitment, and if I figure it out, that's when I'm going to share it. I'm going to share what's available and that it is possible. And so I was initiated
mm.
at a young age.
Thank you. I can feel I can feel that, like, this 12-year-old, like, reflecting on, like, their life so far and reaching this point of, like, what is the point? Like, why am I even here? And, death early in life is, that's a game changer for the outlook, like, the existential anxiety. Like, I had my grandfather die when I was quite young, and for me, he was close. Like, he was a surrogate dad for me. And so I know how much death can change a child's outlook. Like, oh, my parents could, like, they could go.
Mhm.
And what I'm hearing in that 12-year-old is a rewiring, like a rebirth of, okay, cool. Like, I'm gonna live this way of life, and I can share it with new people. I can share it with other people to show them that there is a way. And what was your first step out of that 12-year-old space, that pivotal moment to explore?
To explore. I would say I kind of maybe got a little bit more curious about what's possible in connecting with others. I felt a little bit more brave, maybe with like getting uncomfortable, the awkward teenage years and like trying to understand what it even meant to be connected to anyone else, right? To what does that mean? What is authentically connecting? And it was awkward and it was uncomfortable, right? And so I found myself genuinely wanting to connect in ways with other people. And by the time I got to college, um, I felt this really low-lying depression. And I went and talked to a counselor, and they just were like, pretty much like, we don't have anything to offer you. Like,
Wow.
there's no resolution here, right? And I mean, I'm sure that's not what they said, but that's what I received by
Yep.
going to that. And so that kind of initiated like, okay, well, the medical system or counseling, right? Counseling wasn't an option when I was in high school. At least I didn't think it was, right? I didn't even know what a counselor was really there for. But by the time I got to college, I kind of took some initiation and reached out. And I just felt like, well, that's not a support for me. And by the time I was 27, I felt even more of a depression coming in, but it was just like I couldn't figure it out. Finally, 2 years later, I discovered I had a thyroid, um, suppressed thyroid, hypothyroid. So I got on some medication for that, and that helped. So I kind of was like in this limbo for almost 15 years of like this low-lying depression, not speaking my truth, terrified of just being myself, right? I feel like I had to fit into these roles. So that's kind of the like, even though I knew I really want what I really wanted, I just was like in this dormancy.
How did that impact, like, your connection then and your relationships then?
Oh, it was like, I mean, I entered into a marriage when I was 23. I was terrified of like doing things on my own or being sovereign. So there was a lot of codependency. I didn't know that though. I didn't know that's what that was. And yeah, and then I went into being a mom at 35, and just this low-lying like awareness that this can't be all that there is.
Mm.
This this can't be what life is, right? Like fitting into these boxes and checking the okay, I got married, I have the baby, I have the kids now, they're going to school, this whole chain of events. And it was just like there was no vibrancy. I didn't feel alive.
Mm.
And there was some critical moments in those times I felt betrayed. There was some betrayal in my marriage that was like an undertone, right? But it wasn't loud enough for me to take action on, but it was there. And so I kept hearing these things, right? I kept listening and seeing these things that seemed like something's not right. Like I'm not connecting in the way that I really want to and feeling the deep connection with my kids. I just felt like trauma. I felt like this walking body of trauma.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a I've just yeah, now that I really feel it was like I was in a dormancy. Like I had this commitment when I was 12 and I kind of tried to do it, and then I didn't have the tools, the resources, the understanding, and so I just kind of went into protection and dormancy.
Mm. If you could feel that dormancy now, like, what was that somatically? What was that experience for you? Like, what did it feel like in your body to be dormant?
Painful, painful. Like I had to get a weekly massage. right? I had to watch my diet so meticulously. I had to do the paleo, the like all these different things because I would have these reactions to food and I couldn't metabolize food. I was having digestive issues, I just and then I even had like, an awareness that I might have what I felt could be like lupus, like an autoimmune chronic disease. I had to have hip surgery for
Wow.
like, a crazy fluke. It's like the thing that football players get and I got it when I was pregnant.
Wow.
And like so it was really these a massive amounts of pain. And then also I had an inflamed bladder and it was like 24 hours of chronic pain. And I just was like, what is going on? Just this buildup of pain. That's what dormancy felt like.
Yeah, wow. So tell us more about like this journey out of this dormancy. This like what's the critical mass point where you've gone, okay, that's enough. And then what transformed you? Like what brought you into the I've had enough and I wanna change.
The critical moment for me, I think, is when I started doing a meditation by Sadhguru. It was a very like Shambhuvi mudra, and it's a very like if you want to say masculine, very structured routine. And I felt like my system could start doing that. And so I started doing that daily. And it like really helped me to open up. I'd been doing breath work for 2 years before that. My father had died. Like I was already in process of like clearing emotions, understanding emotional intelligence. I already had mentors. I was already like writing the books, doing the things. But there was something about that structured meditation that was every day that just kind of opened me up to, well, I mean, and this can be a thing. Like I felt like the kundalini in me was rising, like this massive amount of life force that just started to just go, okay. And there was like, I could start to be calm and have pause and just know that my energy was rising. And um there was within that month period there was an awareness of a sexual trauma of my sexual trauma when I was 5.
Mm,
And that's what really initiated a lot of the like allowing my energy to rise, um feeling very disconnected from my marriage. It was like kind of a moment of like, are we getting divorced?
mm,
And that was terrifying for both of us. And so we kind of figured out, well, maybe we'll do open relating instead, right? So we can still have that place. So it was, yeah, there was a lot that happened within that month and a half, 2 months for me.
mm. That's an interesting one, transitioning out of like monogamy into open relating. So like what was that like for you? Like how do you create the structure around doing that? Because I think it's a solution for some people. But how did that work for you?
So for me, I felt there was things awakening inside of me, right? Like I could see where I was closing off a lot of energy within myself. I was closing and not speaking, not sharing. Um and so for me it was almost like in order to feel like I was being true to myself and my commitments, I really needed to have that openness and that spaciousness in our relationship. And he had asked from the very beginning when I was 19 if I was open to open relating. Right. Like, so I knew there was some space for him where he was already okay with that, or at least previously. Right. So I kind of had a place of like, okay, well, let's try this. And little did I know this is the thing. Like if you are in a monogamous relationship and you go into open relating or poly or ethical non-monogamy, if there is cheating or any betrayals before it's opened, the chances are very slim that it's going to survive during the open relating poly ethical non-monogamy.
And
And
what would be the pain points for that? Like, why would they fail?
typically because if there's an unwillingness by the other partner to really be honest and to have that integrity and to figure out what is really real for them and how they want to enter into that type of agreement or arrangement. And if they're out of integrity with that for so many years, like my partner was out of integrity with a monogamous relationship, he wasn't monogamous.
Right.
So for him to fit into some sort of uh, trust building, trustworthy relationship, right, with me, it had to be clear as to what he really wanted and where he was coming from.
Yeah, right. So what I'm hearing is the foundation from that moment previous, there was no the amount of transparency, intimacy was limited. So then trying to transition into open relating, it was doubling down on, okay, cool, either you make this even more transparent than you've ever made this before and be as honest as you've ever been before, or the likelihood trajectory here is it's not going to work.
Yeah, and that's really what I mean, I had launched a program called Radical Honesty for my coaching clients, right? It's like all this like, okay, being transparent, being honest. I mean, at the time, I didn't really realize what was going on in my personal life because that was just I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't ready to find out. I had to be stronger in my central nervous system, in my ability to be able to receive what was really happening. I had to, yeah, it was, I had to be further along in my capacity to receive that information.
Mm. Yeah, that's a beautiful statement there, Katrina. Because yeah, I think a lot of women in particular have that journey of that needing to be patient with. Am I ready for this confront this yet? And sometimes it takes a few years or a few months or however long it is for that individual, right? And then at some point they go, okay, now I'm ready. Let's open up that can of worms or assortment of worms, the bag of worms. So what was it like opening up that can of worms for you?
It was, oh, like I would say the defining moment when I just really started saying, no, this isn't aligned for me. I don't need any more information. I already have all the information that I need. And so I started saying no. One of my no's was an abortion. I didn't want to have another child. Um, Another no was a place of really seeing how he interacted with the secrecy and how it was like, no matter how many times we tried to, we had support. We had so much support, John, so much, like crazy amount of support. And no matter what the support showed up as, it just showed that the integrity wasn't there. So I was just like, this is a no. So once I started saying no, 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 like it happened very fast. And then, all the stuff came out in a very short amount of time.
Mm. What was it like to give voice to your no?
The when I knew that I had to have the abortion when we were traveling in Cambodia, um, it was terrifying, but it was also very freeing, and it was, like, so clear, there was no question. There was like, it was just I mean, it wasn't even like a choice. It was just, "This is what's happening." And, I but I just remember defining moments during that process of like, yeah, of course, there would be no other way. There isn't there I mean, yes, I could force something here and try to do this, but try is the key word there. But it just was ultimately like the no was so loud that there was no other word.
Mm. Thank you. That's wow. I already feel that no too. The embodiment of that no, and also how like, the mind can convince you to try. Right? It's like, yeah, maybe I could try and make this work, but now my body's given me this solid no. This is the no. And how have you brought your life experience and your skill set into your healing work?
Oh, my life experience shows me every day, even now, today. Like it's always this continuing layer of really showing transparency, right? Being willing to be authentic and transparent with others, with all, like everyone. Like there's, of course, times and places for everything, but the ability for me to be able to just know that what I'm experiencing in the moment, usually the things that I'm moving through, I know that that's a place, I have a deep resonance, that's also a place where I will be supporting clients moving through that same type of feeling, of situation. Maybe the players are different, the dynamics are different, but it's still that same feeling. And there, I remember just bawling, like, when I came to realize, "Oh my god, I'm going through my own divorce process." Like, I woke up at 6 AM and I just started crying. I went into the meditation. I'm like, "Man, the process that I'd been helping my clients move through, divorce, I was, like, realizing that's what I'm doing right now." And so it's humbling. It's humbling to know that I'm being allowed to experience the depth of the human experience, and to be able to say, I resonate with my clients in ways that gives them the ability in their own nervous system and their own transformation to go, she has done this. She's
Mm,
doing it. Therefore, it's not something that is, this pie in the sky, whatever you want to say, any terms. It's actually real, right? Like I'm bringing them the depth of this rich experience that I've said yes to.
mm,
And that's the invitation for them to go, yeah, I can do this as well, no matter what the the pain or transformation or process is in that unfolding. I can do it.
mm. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I really hear the embodiment piece of like the somatic, the central nervous system alignment, the cohesion with your clients, where it's cool. I've done this, and I have the empathy and that container for you to also feel everything that you're going through, like all the questions, like what's on the other side, what's going to happen if there's kids involved, like what's going to happen with the kids, and how does this relationship look like after we do this thing, like all the questions that are there, and the difference between like a mechanical, like the theory of it, versus the flesh, the blood and bone, the juicy human experience of actually going through it. Yeah, that's a I hear that piece there.
I think, I just right now, as we're talking, I just received a message from my client, and she's like, I'm going through the mess right now, and it's uncomfortable. That is where we can transmute and allow so much to come through. And I think that is when we allow, the beauty that I have found in my own experience is I get to connect with my own inner authority. I get to experience my intuition. I get to open up to all these things that are possible, all the different like clues within my being, right? I get to go, no, that does not feel right. Yes, that feels great. Ooh, this is really sticky. And I need some awareness of maybe what a next tangible marker could be for me, or a mirror or some, right? Like just, and that's where I really find that I love to help support my clients come into their inner authority, come into those places of where they're just like, yes, okay, this is the mess. I know this is the mess, but I got it and I can be supported in this mess. And that's really, that to me is when someone's in their mess and they're just showing up still, and they're still in that place of like, I believe that I can do this. It's kind of like the train when we were kids, the little book, like, I think I can, I think I can, I think
Yes,
I
yes, yeah.
can. That was, I read that book so many times and I was just thinking the joy, right? They brought all these toys to the kids and I think I can. I think I can, no matter what mess, what circumstance you're in, that you can still have this. We're here to be messy. We're humans.
Mm.
And I think it's just this capacity to embrace that experience and to know that uncertainty is okay.
Mm. Yeah, thank you. That uncertainty is okay piece is showing up a lot for my clients as well, and people that I'm just reaching out to. So right now, I'm in a transition of just reaching out to people and saying, "Where are you at?" Like if I knew you in the street, like social media is like this wall. But if I knew you in the street, if you were my neighbor and I saw you, I just go and have a conversation with you. So can we treat social media as a social inlet to just having conversations with people? And I'm not overwhelmed, but I'm overjoyed by what people are presenting to me and what their initial reaction is, like being a coach or someone who does sell wares that can help people guide them into their selves. Like what their first initial reaction is, oh, you're trying to sell me something. It's like, I'm just having a conversation with you. It's like I know lots of other coaches that I could refer you to, but I'm just having a conversation with you. Like let's just have a conversation. Like what's there for you? And in that, seeing someone reflect on what's really present for them, like actually have that genuine space to go, oh wow, actually my life is, yeah, there's some stuff going on in my life right now. Thank you for asking. And then also in that offloading, they find their own hope, right? Like, I think I can, I think I can. Oh, wait, I know I can, I know I can, I know I can. I'm doing it, I'm doing it, I'm getting goosebumps. But just that transitional of they just need that, hey, hi, where are you at? Where do you want to go? Do you want help or no? Or you think you're okay? Can you do this on your own? Great, awesome. See you later. Um, in that mess, in that stickiness, like I love that part of the human condition. Like what else is there but to experience the mess and getting out of the mess and then back in another mess, just allow it all, right? In conversation, in intimacy, or in life in general. So in your experience as being someone who's helped people through these transitional periods in their life, what advantages does it have to have someone in your corner, like in your mind or your heart space to keep reminding you, hey, this is where you're going.
Oh, John, there's no way I would be where I'm at without that. I've had so many places personally in my own experience, mentors, healers, whatever label, we like to give labels, whatever the place of support showed up, and I was always like, yes, this, I know that they're going to provide me insights when I'm in my mess. And there's, I've gotten into tons of messes in this transformation journey. Oh boy. And I just like, even in the past week of just like supporting an experience for my clients, just being able to see where the mess comes up, right? To have that awareness, to be able to go, oh, this is the mess. Okay. I don't have to do anything with it right now. There's no have to. I don't have to do anything. I can just sit with this mess. It can get really uncomfortable. And when we have somebody there in our corner who just reminds us, it's going to be okay. You've got this. Like, just allow this. You don't have to do anything, and when the time comes to take action, then it's like you feel this capacity of love that starts to connect you to this resilience and just like pure knowing that no matter what comes your way, it's going to be all right. And sometimes I think a lot of my stuff that I was resisting, right, my dormancy was I was preventing things from coming my way. And that was the dormancy, right? Like I was like this place of I don't want anyone to be there to see it. I don't want to show my stuff. I don't want to be um a, a conduit of love. There was lots of things that just felt I don't want to be seen. I'm just going to do it this way. Right. So that was obviously really uncomfortable. That type of physical pain is so different than actually dealing and being in the mess and like understanding what the mess is. And so when you have someone in your corner, when you have a team in your corner, when you have people who are there to go, it's okay to be with all of this stickiness, this uncomfortableness, it's priceless. And it like I really I don't know. I mean, I don't have any examples of people who have been able to overcome a lot of things without that type of support. I don't really have any examples
Mm,
um that I can think of. Unless if I really feel that with the more we lean into support and allowing this, the exponential factor just comes in. It's
yeah.
exponential.
Yeah, I can't think of anybody either. Like, when I think about people that I know who have gone through, like, the mainstream, like, psychotherapy, that therapeutic one, the mental illness model, they kinda hit a plateau, like a plateau of how deep they can go into whatever their stuff is, and, they loop. So they try and look in the same they kinda loop in the same situation, but they've got the body pain, like the somatic, "I know there's more to life. I'm stuck here. Like, what do I do?" Um Yeah, I've seen that. I don't know if I agree with you. There doesn't seem to be, and for me, I'm the same. It wasn't until I invested in a mentor that was the most money I've ever spent on myself. And for me, I wouldn't spend money on myself. I'd have partners. I'd spend thousands of dollars on partners, or relationships. But for me, no, I wouldn't do it. Like, I'd be like, I don't need that. So yeah, I really hear that when you have someone in your corner, it makes a huge difference for the trajectory of your life, right? So in that, what's your typical client base? What are the kind of people that you love to work with?
Hmm. John, I love to work with I love to work with people who are just like, I want this. Like this it looks so challenging and it seems like this is impossible, but I want it. That to me is just like the strongest place of resonance. And that that always shows up for my clients, the ones who are they just it blows my mind what they move through. It is like such a strong, deep, I want that. Fuck yes. Like that is like it's like this. embodiment of this deep knowing that just wants to be unleashed. And it just hasn't fully come out yet. And I'm blown away by the men and women who do that and who have done that and who have continually done that. And I feel like there's always when new people reach out to me, it's always like this feeling of like, oh God, oh boy, I'm in for a doozy, right? Like, look at what has happened for, Katrina. And it's like, wow. So there's kind of this a little bit of terror that kind of comes with that, right? Of like, oh, look who's showing up right now.
Yeah.
Right. It's like this knock knock on the door of like, okay, it's time. And so if they're ready to hear, if there's that call in return, to me, that's just ignites this like I'm there for them. Like I am there for them. If they are in that, I have goosebumps. If that place, if they're a fuck yes, I'm there for them. Like, and that's what we want in this journey, right? We want someone who will meet and match us in these places and show us that place. So I would say just the things that I love is when there's a deep knowing of like, I want that. And I'm
Mm.
going to do everything that in my power in my understanding to do that.
Yeah. I hear commitment in that. It's like, no, I'm here, I'm in it. Like I'm gonna come to the other side of this. I'm gonna devote whatever time, energy, resources into this to have this breakthrough. Even if it means ending a relationship, starting a new one, or whatever it is required to get there. Um, yeah, when you spoke to that, I felt the inspiration of the human spirit, like just that resilience and the grit and the excitement of the human spirit, like what it means to be human. Like, yeah, I don't want that old life anymore. I'm gonna aim for this one over here. Um, yeah, wow. So, where do you see us going as a civilization, as an organism of humanity?
Oh my God. Like our kids need us to want it. So it's up to us. Like really, the younger generation, the kids, they they need to be modeled and shown this human, as you say, this human spirit, right? That they need to be shown that's what that is. And if we're just on the screens and we're modeling to our kids, this disconnection, like that is so pervasive, n- they are not being modeled how to connect. So, yes, there's this internal thing, right, for us to each go, okay, I want that. I want to have these places of connection, of communities, of resources. But right now, where I see us right now, we're so disconnected. No one's listening to their kids. There's this massive schism within our societies. And I've seen it. Like, I mean, I would say like the most disconnected. I haven't had the fortunate of you're in Australia, right? Or
Yeah.
yeah, I haven't had the opportunity to travel to Australia, but like I would say in Southeast Asia, I felt the community and the connection there. And it's strong. In the US, there isn't. There's a lot of disconnection. And I think that I don't like the word I think. I like to say I feel, and even that relates to the train. I feel I can, right? It's like this feeling. And I feel like we are not have to, we are being called now to really root into connection, to get in the messy, to be in these places together. Otherwise, we're on like this quicksand foundation that is quicksand, and we're not going to get anywhere.
Mm.
And we're going to leave like a destitute place to our to grandkids or to, many generations. And I know we hear this all the time, right? There's many generations before us that have said the same thing, but it's like really now I feel that we don't know how to connect.
Yeah.
We've forgotten that. And that worries me.
Mm. Thank
That
you for sharing.
concerns me.
Yeah, I hear this, that the current trajectory based on the technology and the disconnection with adults in particular, like if your mother and father or whatever your relationship, your caregiver model is, if they can't talk to each other like constructively with love and compassion and looking for understanding, or if they're on their devices, then that's modeling for the kids, even for teachers, it's the same thing. Like anywhere where there's a caregiver type relationship, a disconnect, not only from other people, but from themselves. And when you were speaking, that it reminded me of two things. One, I was driving home with Cassie and Luca in the car, and it was school had just wrapped, school had just finished, and there was all these school kids standing by the side of the road, all looking at their phones. And I was like, I had this shock moment of, oh my goodness, like there's all these like about 30 kids like standing there, and all I saw was them like looking down on their phones. And it shocked me in a way that I've not been shocked before, to the realization of technology and that the relationship with technology and school kids. And in that, it reminded me of like when I was a kid, I didn't have that kind of technology. Like I'd be like, we'd just be at the bus stop, when they're like pulling up grass or like talking with each other or like kicking a ball to each other or teasing someone in the aisle. Not that that was great, but still there was some level of human to human interaction. And that's what came up to me there. It's like, wow, technology really, it's a choice now whether or not we want to keep our technology around our kids. And like Cassie and I, so we've made a rule up, not to have phones at the dinner table. For me, making sure that I'm just working in my office space and not working like out in the lounge room or when I'm preparing dinner. So I'm siloing that technology. And then I had a client today. Her son overheard her talking to me one morning, and she said, "Who's this? Who's this guy you keep talking to?" And she said, "Oh, this is John." Like, and then her son said, "I'd like to have a conversation with John." And he's like 5 or 6 years old. He's a young pup. And she said, "John, would you be okay to talk to my son?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'd love to talk to your son." So before I jumped onto this call, I had a conversation with him. He just wanted to talk about nature. So I spent like 20 minutes just talking to him about trees and the ocean and grass and animals, and just for 20 minutes. And he was thrilled. And then by the time I could feel the conversation wrapping up, and I was like, "Hey, like, is there anything else you want to talk to me about nature?" And he was like, "No, no, I'm good." And so we just hung up. I said, "Thank you. It was great," and just moved on. Right. So I really hear there's potential here for us to connect with people, and just being open and listening to what the universe is telling us, makes that available.
I think it's so powerful, John. What your share just reminded me of is when I find a lot of my clients, come in, they want to know like about my kids. Like they want to like there's this curiosity, right? Of like, who are the kid? Like what, and so I've really allowed this place of my kids get excited about coach. They loved it. Oh my God, they know so much. It's a little scary. Sometimes they use it on me. So, which is great. I welcome that. But I think, I love it when we can have these conversations with their kids, right? Our clients' kids, when we can genuinely be curious about each other and like just inquire, ask questions. Like it allows so much to come in that we can't even, I mean, that kid might remember that conversation for a long time that he had with you, and maybe it will ripple in different ways that we have no idea. And it was just a 20-minute conversation, right?
Yeah, that I got a
And
solid yes to. I'm like, "Yes, John, go to the conversation." Like, "Yeah, okay,
yeah,
I'll do the conversation."
right? It's so amazing. So I feel so ignited by this place of allowing people to feel connected in so many ways, and that it's safe. It's safe, and that's where they get to use their intuition about how far they want to go into these places of connection. It's the tools then that we get to allow to come forward, right? And if there's places of conflict, being able to navigate that with integrity and know that we're safe.
Mm. Yeah, I love that. In our because my son's like 20 weeks now, I think, and we've been told by the nurses and the institutional system that we need to be putting him on his tummy to do tummy time. And my partner Cassie found a really good podcast that came through her mother's circle. She's got like a mother's group, our local mother's group. She's in a few actually, and they shared this podcast with her called Unruffled, and it's about the rye method. And we've been listening to it, and it says, don't force your kid to do anything. Like, just witness them on their journey, especially in transitions from like playtime to bedtime or food time to playtime. Just be with them through those transitions, and they will eventually just learn on their own. Like, they need to be in enough distress, not like a catatonic distress, but a distress to be, oh, I can actually roll over by myself, and now I'm ready for tummy time. And same thing with self-led weaning with food. We're like, okay, when are you going to be ready to eat your own food? And so we'll know the moment because he'll start wanting to take our food. And so there's a natural transitions that are available to us as adults. And what else is showing up from that podcast is it's not so much a relationship between the parent and the child. It's between the parent and parent, right? If it's a two-parent model where you can actually use the same principles as relating to your child you can with your partner. And in particular, it's speaking to allowing your child to just witness their emotions, not in to jump in there and save them. And Cassie said, "Oh, John, that's what you do to me. You just witness my emotions. You don't jump in there and try and save me." It's like, yeah, just be with whatever's going on there for you. I'll hear you. I see you. I know everything's going to be okay on the other side. And there's an interdependence that forms in that cycle where it's, I can do this on my own. I don't need someone rushing in to save me or giving me advice on how I need to get rid of this feeling. It's a natural cycle when you're witnessed. And I think kids in particular with anger and crying and distress, it took me a while to adjust to Luca's crying. He screams at a level, and I'm like, oh my, this is an incredible scream. It wasn't until I started breathing through his cries for myself and allowing him to cry, and then holding him in his distress, then I had the transformation for myself. I don't need to save him. Like, he's communicating to me that something's not right for him, and it's okay. And I don't need to try and stop him from crying. I just need to be with him. And if it's food, I try food. Great. Not food. Cool. Is it nappy? Nappy. Not nappy. Cool. Is it gas? Gas. Not gas. Cool. Is it environment? No, it's not environment. You just want to cry? Okay. You just want to cry. Great. Great. Let's just be with all of that.
The sweetest thing. I think it's one of the sweetest gifts that we can give to each other. And I mean, I remember my daughter when she had a whole bunch of anger that showed up when she was starting at 4, and I was like, "Oh my god. Wow." And just that's when I realized I don't feel like I have the tools or the understanding of how to navigate, you know, this these big emotions. And I think, isn't that what we give to our clients, John? I mean, that same thing that, okay, we're here. You get to cry, grieve, get angry, have all these different things come out, and we're not going to save you. You get to experience it to its fullest place of where it needs to go in order for them to figure out, oh, this is the movement I need to make. This feels good and alive for me. Right. And I think that's the place in partnerships too, when we're with our partner, our spouse. It's that beautiful interdependence that forms when we are just able, we feel our stuff when they're feeling their stuff, right? If it's really loud, we get to feel our stuff and know it's okay to feel whatever our response is to them. But we don't need to make any judgments, anything about it. We just allow it. And that is like one of the most beautiful places of connection. That's connection. Think about your son, right? Like, he's like, thank goodness you're not trying to like change my diaper right now when I just am crying, right? Like, our partner, thank goodness you're not trying to make me go out on a date with you when I just want to be in my PJs and talk about the moon,
Yes. Yes.
right?
Yes.
Like, or whatever that is, that's connection, right? Like, that's connection. If we want to talk about our deepest levels of connection, what about when our children are communicating something so strongly to us and we're trying to make them do something different? That's not connection.
Yeah.
We've really like, I believe the more and more that I do this work and more I'm in these places of the gift is so great to our children to be able to help them understand that they can, my 9-year-old son, he has an 8-year-old friend, and he's like, I can just witness him. He's having a really crappy day. I don't need to do anything.
Yes.
I can just be me, right? He knows this. That's connection. I mean, I feel this place for when you're sharing, about your son. It's like, what greater gift
Yeah.
can you give him to just let him cry if he needs to cry? And I think that's the power of going through these experiences, right? Our life experiences, knowing that we've gone through these places and that we can offer those same places to our clients and that
Yes.
they can be held in that without, we're not there to fix, we're not there to do anything that creates this like I need a crutch or I have to have these things, right? So that's magic. That's connection.
I love it. So, Katrina, if people want to work with you, what's the best way for them to get in contact with you?
I would say the best, there's a couple ways. You can check out katrinastarr.com. That's two R's, like Ringo Starr. And also just on Facebook is great. I have a private Facebook group called From Mundane to Mind-Blowing Relationships. And you can message me, like there's lots of ways to connect. I have an off platform off of Facebook um, for extraordinary men, but I'm kind of thinking I'm also going to open that up definitely to women as well. I think that there's more union and
Mm,
there's places here for us to be in union, to be in these places of uncomfortableness and to see each other and to witness each other. So
great. Do you
those
do
are
any
all available.
in-person stuff?
What was that?
Do you do any in-person events?
So I did 3 in-person retreats in 2022. I was going to do them in 23, but I right now, no. I'm just rooting in to the Bay Area in California. And so I tried to force things back in November. It didn't work. It wasn't aligned. So I kind of have pulled back and just really in the places of virtual connections all around the world. And the in person will show up again.
Beautiful. Katrina, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you here today. Is there anything else that you want to share?
I just genuinely appreciate the conversation and the connection. And I love how you show up, John. I really have connected in the last 6 months, maybe it's been 8 months now, since we became Facebook friends. And I really feel that there's a lot of gifts in these places that we connect and we allow connection. And I think so many of us are so rushed to make things happen, to do these things, right? And so this is just an invitation to everyone who's listening to just find more of the gentleness
Mm.
and don't rush things. It's so I'm grateful. I've felt like I've had some deep resonance with you and how you show up online, John. And I'm grateful that's why I'm here because I can feel that place of resonance and how you're serving and showing up in the world. And so I appreciate you deeply.
Thank you, Katrina. I love what you spoke about gentleness there. My business coach this morning said to me, John, why are you punching the ceiling through on your business? Like, why you keep punching the ceiling? He caught that phrase in what I was saying to him. And he said to me, John, just treat your business like a tide now. You don't need to be in this punching the ceiling phase anymore. Like, allow it in like the tide and allow it out like the tide. You can't force the tide to come in. You can't force it to go out. So that gentleness, and bringing that to all of my client base and any pre-qualification or anything is like, cool, just gentle, because that is the connection. That is the essence of love, is that gentle, hey, I'm here with you right now. And thank you so much for again being here and connecting with me, and taking the time out of your day to open your heart. Much love.
Much love. Thank you.